Good evening, Detroit Lions fans. The Kansas City game with Brian Branch, after the game is over, just drops Juju Schuster. Well, it looked a little like a flop to me as well. That being said, we have a coach, Dan Campbell, that takes the direct approach of saying we love Brian Branch, but that's unacceptable. I understand he's the coach and he needs to say that. As a fan, I'm going to explain my thoughts and how I feel about all this. Brian Branch is like many of the Detroit Lions since Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes has built this team. And of course, Sheila and everybody else. They have drafted high character and also extremely talented individuals. In a nutshell, we should not overreact at anything at this point of the season. We're 4-2, and this is a long marathon. The key is we want to have as many healthy bodies and playing at our highest level going into the playoffs to get to a Super Bowl and win our very first Super Bowl. And I believe Brian Branch is one of those key figures to do that. Our team has tons of players that have a huge impact on the game. Brian Branch is one of those players. Now, going back to his earlier seasons, I watched a game when he's a rookie and Bijan Robinson, who's a very, very talented running back, collided. And because of the collision, and Brian Branch is a heavy, heavy hitter. He hits so hard for his size. I mean, he's good size for a safety, don't get me wrong. But he hits harder than most people ever get hit as a safety. He hits harder than most linebackers. And the speed and velocity that he hits people, it's demoralizing. And you see a lot of drops going across the middle when he's in the area because they know he can hit them that hard. Now, the collision with Bijan Robinson, there was nothing dirty, there was nothing illegal about that hit. But Bijan got hit so hard, and I'm not picking on him for his hit. He had his helmet flew off of his head, and they gave him a penalty right there in the game, but they also gave him a hefty fine. So, looking back in this game in Kansas City, there was a bad hit in the back. Now, the referees are 100% responsible for making that call. There's three of them on the field. Not one of the three decided to throw a flag for that. Why? The taunting that Mahomes did in the end zone, where he spun the ball just by spinning the ball, or even like throwing the ball towards somebody, has gotten many of the Detroit Lions penalties. But Mahomes not only did that, he threw it at Brian Branch's feet. And let's just say this: Brian Branch is a dog. And that dog mentality, and I mean that in the greatest sense of the term, he's a gladiator, he's a warrior out there. And you're trying to show him up in the end zone. And not only did you spin the ball at his feet, Mr. Mahomes, You pointed a finger at them like that and did this and mocked them. Okay? Where's the referee's flags for that for taunting? That was a big thing they're supposed to have. Kansas City did not get one single flag. There are as many holds as there is on both sides of the ball. So I don't want to sound like a whining, crying fan, and I don't want us Detroit Lions fans to, oh, have we gotten robbed for many calls? Absolutely. And it goes back when Stafford was playing. So many calls we've gotten robbed on. However, when you look at Super Bowl winning teams, when you look at Tom Brady, they've gotten bad calls against them too, but they've overcame them, and that's where we need to grow. Brian Branch apologized. Dan Campbell said, we don't have, that's not us, so we can't do that. Now, that being said, guys, I don't need an apology from Brian Branch. I love the dude's playing. I love the fact that he hits people so hard. And I love the fact that when he has an opportunity for an interception, 99.9% of the time he's capitalizing on that and is a game changer. He was the first time he played Kansas City as a rookie. He went 40 yards into the end zone with an interception in about 5 seconds. It was crazy. Less than that, 3 or 4 seconds seemed like. But Brian Branch is a much needed football player for our team. Nobody should be down on him one bit for that. He stood up for himself. When the referees wouldn't correct the wrongs that Kansas City was doing to them, Brian Branch took it in his own hands. He's serving a 1 game suspension. He's gotten some ridiculing. I love the dude, and I don't mind him doing that one bit. And Schuster kind of flopped from the slap. There's a slap on the helmet, dude. There's a slap on the helmet. You have a helmet on and you can take a slap. During pregame, you guys do headbutts, okay? Which is a lot harder than that. So don't go flopping around. And Schuster's a punk. And with a little bit of justice, we get to meet them in the Super Bowl this year. And if they make it that far, the one thing that the NFL I could see was determined to do is give the Kansas City Chiefs every opportunity they could to beat the Lions. The touchdown called back, first things the announcer says it's not a reviewable play. If it's not a reviewable play, how can they talk about it and take it off the board? We've seen that a few times, haven't we, against the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs when Stafford and Calvin Johnson, Dominic Sue, and unfortunately we had Caldwell, the coach, who is a better coach than we had. But when it's 3rd and 1, and if you get a first down, you're running down the clock almost next to nothing, and you're in field goal range after one first down to ice the game. The responsibility falls on us the players and the coaches. And the refs robbed us there, but that still didn't make an excuse for Caldwell on 3rd and 1 having Jock Bell, Jaquil Bell, J Bell. They who was running really hard. I mean, you can't get a yard. I'm sorry. If it's 3rd and 1, run the ball. Get that first down. And if you're going to pass, make sure he's open. And Stafford threw the ball when the guy wasn't open. If the linebacker turned around, he could have easily intercepted the ball. But then it was 4th and 1. And what did we do? We punt. We went for 7 yards. So my point is this. Is the refs are going to screw us at times, but we got to overcome it. And I believe that's Dan Campbell's message too. We can't allow their inability to call a fair game. We got to be much better. Back in the day in heavyweight fights, to beat a champion, you have to soundly beat the champion. You got to knock them out. And we got to just knock them out. And we had, as a team, we can't get stuck on one win or one loss. If we won the game, it's then that doesn't give us an automatic buy into the Super Bowl. It doesn't. It's one game. We need Brian Branch. Brian Branch is all world. And Brian Branch, if you ever saw this, I just want to tell you this. As a lifelong Lions fan at 58 years old, the only close type of player that we've ever had at your position was Benny Blades, who was a load and hitter. But Brian Branch covers. I mean, he can cover any receiver. And Jack Campbell. A lot of people don't view this guy as such a great guy, but man, I think more and more people are seeing he very much like Brian Branch. Every time they have an opportunity to hit you, they drill you. And I know the other players aren't going to leave that game and say, "Oh, those guys are," but I guarantee you, they know they've been in a battle when they play those guys. I want to talk about one more thing before I go. It's a little frustrating for me, and by no means with this new coach and this new organization, upper management, do I ever um, doubt their intentions and whatnot, or think I'm a better coach than they can be. But I would just like to throw this out here. We had Tim Patrick, and last year it seemed like one, two, three times a game he'd get a pass thrown to him. And he did good for us. And by all means, I believe that Isaac Tesla is even much better. And Isaac Tesla might even be as good as any receiver we have. And that's crazy for me to say that when you have Amon St. Brown who catches everything. My point is this: if give Isaac Tesla a few opportunities during the game, every game. He didn't get one pass thrown to him last game. Not one. If he's in the game, get him the ball once in a while. Let him catch it. You know, if you want to do a trick play, this guy played high school quarterback at a high level, very high level. Let him get behind center and let him run an option. He could take off and run. He could also pass to a wide open Jared Goff if you want to do a trick play like that. All I'm saying is Isaac Tesla is a juggernaut ready to explode. You just got to get him the ball. And if we're daring enough to do trick plays, be daring enough to let Isaac Tesla have an opportunity and just see what happens. I mean, he's got 2 touchdowns, and we've only got 6 games. So it's not like they've forgotten about him, I don't believe, but I believe they need to go to him much further. And here's what happens when you go to Isaac Tesla. Not only will he catch the ball and maybe get your first downs, but it would take pressure off of everybody else. Maybe run him out on little screens as an outlet, so when people rush Jared Goff, that he's got an immediate tall target. Just throw it high. Let him go get it. He's a big boy. He can go get it. Utilize him. I mean, even though he's a rookie, I hate this when people don't. There's like certain coaches, like Larry Brown of the Pistons, that didn't like playing rookies. Let him get some experience. The only way to do is let him get in the game. I mean, he was out there a few plays. He missed a block. I will say this: seen him in. Just to be fair, there was a play. Can't. I'd have to rewatch it, but there was a play that had he gone out and gotten a block, we would have. It's a little screen pass. I can't remember who it was to, but he missed an opportunity for a block on it. And I guarantee you, when they go over game films, when the Detroit Lions lose a game, it's not one person's fault. Armand St. Brown always catches a football, but he didn't catch that fourth down pass. It just one play. Um, and then there's 8 or 9 different plays that made a difference in that game. We have to look forward to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are playing at a very high level. They have probably a sweet revenge game coming up against us. They probably didn't forget that we beat them in the playoffs 2 years ago in our march to the NFC Championship game. Um, so I'm sure they got us targeted on there. It's a Monday night football game, 2 primetime games in a row for the Lions. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the best safety in one of the best safeties in football. Of course, Kirby Joseph being the other one. Uh, but here, I look at the positive news of all this. Okay, Brian Branch was humiliated by Mahomes in the game. He was he's been fined for different kind of hits that, to me, so many of those were just because he's just a tougher dude than anybody out in the field, and they got hurt or they got blasted, and he gets a fine. And then he gets blasted on really a meaningless play at the towards the end of the game, and the wide receiver took a shot at him. Okay, that's the same kind of hit from behind when he's not expecting it, where an injury could happen. And it wasn't an easy hit. It's the same kind of hit that Ron Artest did against Ben Wallace, and Ben Wallace turned around in game and gave him a big shove in the chest, and the malice in the palace happened. Had Brian Branch turned around, he probably just didn't react because he thought for sure he'd get a flag thrown on that. I mean, it should have been. Had he gone up and started a melee there, he would have got insulted for that too. Brian Branch, I 100% have no negativity on any way that you reacted against that game. I would have actually liked to see more of the Lions. Well, they didn't get suspended because they all played peacemaker, but it looked like there was a lot of Chiefs coming at you. And hats off to Pacheco. Pacheco was just trying to restrain and restore order. And Mahomes, yeah, you wanted to look like a good sport at the end of the game, but you sure didn't in the end zone when you got a touchdown. And I like Mahomes. I think he's tough as nails. There's a play where he's kind of like running out, and he got hit by 4 or 5 Lions. The ball didn't even move out of his hand, and he just stood like he got nothing hit him. The dude's tough. I'd like to have him actually, but the refs, I don't like to buy into this because other teams that have played the Chiefs have said, and I guess I haven't watched them close enough, but it is a real thing that the Chiefs are getting some favorable calls, and for you to beat them, you're going to have to decisively beat them. And that's what we're going to do the next time we see them. I guarantee it. I don't care where they play. If they play in the Bahama Islands, you have a great day.